Let's talk about joint bank accounts. You're probably wondering whether you should have one with your parent or aging loved one if you're helping that person with daily money matters. Well, the answer is it depends. I hate to be so evasive, but really there is no one-size-fits-all approach. So first, what is a joint bank account? Well, it's dual ownership. Both you and your parent are owners of that account. It's as much yours as it is your parents'. There are certainly pros and cons to having a joint bank account with your parent. First, the pros. It's convenient. It's simple. You can easily monitor all the transactions in that account. You can make deposits, you can make withdrawals, you can be that second set of eyes, and when your parent passes away, you will have immediate access to all of the money in that account if you need the money to help cover funeral costs. If you were not the joint owner of the account, you couldn't have access until the estate had gone through the probate process. And so there is certainly that benefit while your parents are alive and when your parent passes away, because as the joint owner, you have access to all of the money in that account at any time while your parent is living and after your parent passes away. There are also cons to having joint bank accounts. For starters, because that money belongs to both you and your parents, you could be potentially putting your parents' finances at risk if you run into financial trouble of your own. Creditors can come after money in that joint account to settle any debts you have. You could be hurting your child's ability to qualify for financial aid because you're going to have to report the income that's in that account. Even if all that money is really your parents' money, that money is going to factor into financial aid calculations, so it could potentially hurt your child's ability to qualify for college financial aid. It could also affect your parents' Medicaid eligibility. Now, Medicaid will help pay for long-term care in certain situations, care at home, care in a nursing home, and to qualify for Medicaid, your parent has to have very limited assets. But Medicaid will also look at whether there have been any transfers of wealth. And so if you are taking money in that account and transferring it to your personal account, perhaps to reimburse yourself for helping care for a parent or for expenses that you've paid for out of pocket, Medicaid is going to look at that and consider it a transfer of wealth. And typically there's this 5-year look back period where if there have been transfers of wealth, your parent won't qualify for Medicaid. There has to be a 5-year period where there is no transfer of wealth. And so if your parent is going to have to rely on Medicaid to pay for long-term care, having that joint bank account could potentially hurt your parents' ability to qualify if you're transferring money from that account to your personal account. Other situations when a joint bank account might not be ideal, there are tax consequences. If that account is earning interest, not only does your parent have to report that interest on their tax return, but you're going to have to report it too because it is your account also. So there are several cons to having a joint bank account with your parent, just as there are several pros. It can work out, perhaps, if you are an only child and you're not going to have siblings who are going to be looking closely at how you're managing your parents' finances and worried about whether you're going to get all that money when your parents pass away. If you do have siblings though, a joint account might not be ideal. You're going to have to be super accountable to your siblings, which really you should be at all times if you are managing your parents' money, but your siblings might want to know how you're managing that money in that joint account. They might be concerned that you're going to get all that money when your parents pass away because you are the joint account owner, and that can create arguments with your siblings. And so if you're an only child, it might make sense. If you have siblings, it can complicate things. There are alternatives to joint bank accounts that might make more sense. For example, if you're just starting to get involved with your parents' finances and really you're just kind of serving as that second set of eyes right now, just need to monitor transactions, well, your parents might be able to give you view-only access to their bank account. And this just simply allows you to see what's kind of going on behind the scenes. I mean, if you use the Carefull app though, you have this access already. So you might not need to have access to their accounts to make transactions at this point. And whether they want to give you view-only access or you're using the Carefull app to monitor your parents' accounts, that's one solution. They might want to just simply give you signature authority, allowing you to sign checks in certain situations. And so this lets you help maybe stay on top of some bills, but it doesn't give you full access to their bank account. This is another option, another alternative to that joint bank account. And finally, there's power of attorney. And really, if you are helping a parent with daily money matters, you should be that parent's power of attorney. You don't have to be power of attorney to have a joint bank account, but as you get more involved with your parents' finances, you're going to need to be able to access all of their financial accounts. You're going to need to be able to talk to all of their financial institutions and also government entities such as Medicare and Social Security. So you're going to need that power of attorney authority. And once you are your parents' power of attorney, you can access their bank account. You don't need to be a joint account owner. I was my mother's power of attorney throughout the time she had Alzheimer's disease. I was never a joint account owner on her bank account, and I had full access to that bank account. So I could go in there and set up automatic payments. I could write checks to pay for her long-term care facility as her power of attorney. I didn't need to be a joint bank account owner, and that power of attorney worked just fine for me. And so before you rush into opening up a joint bank account with your parents or having them add you as a joint account owner, it's really important to consider those pros and cons and think about the alternatives to having a joint bank account, because it isn't always the best solution when you are helping a parent with daily money matters.